and welcome to this episode of Season 5 of the Dr. Tech Show, where myself, Pauline Roche, and Sweyn Hunter, and often guests, talk about digital topics, including the world of online communications and digital inclusion, in a show which was the brainchild of digital storyteller, the late and much missed John Popham. And in our usual way, we will start with a weather report. Sweyn, how are you, and how's the weather been this week where you are?
I'm very well, thank you, Pauline. And I'm in Kirkwall in Orkney as usual, and it's brightened up. We've had hail showers, we've had sunshine, we've had cloud, we've had rain today. So we've had the obligatory four seasons in one day already.
Excellent. And Benjamin, where are you? Benjamin Blake's our guest today. Benjamin, how's the weather been this week where you are?
So when I'm looking outside now, it seems like it's starting to pick up a little bit now. I think
Mm-hmm.
things are starting to look up. So
And where are you in the country?
I'm in the West Midlands. I'm in the West Midlands, just
Mm-hmm.
on the edge of Birmingham.
Okie
So
doke.
yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Well, here
things are
in
looking good.
good to hear. And here in Birmingham, it's been a beautiful, bright day this morning. It was very nice to get up to that for a change. Didn't even need a light on in the room when I got up, so that was really, really lovely to see.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, so we welcome you to the show, Benjamin. We have a
Thank you very
few
much.
dates and events to go through, and then we'll have a good chat with you. So thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it.
Swain, do you want to kick off with the dates?
Okay, so this week I found a couple of things as usual. One of them is today, the 17th of February, and it's Random Acts of Kindness Day, a day dedicated to promoting kindness and goodwill, encouraging individuals to perform simple, unexpected acts of kindness to brighten someone else's day and to create a ripple effect of positivity. Uh, it's a day to celebrate the power of kindness and compassion, the website says.
Mm-hmm.
And examples of what you can do would be things like give compliments, pay it forward, or when you're in a coffee shop or whatever, then possibly pay for the drink of the person behind you, or send thoughtful messages online or through the post, I guess. Help a neighbor, donate to charity, visit the elderly, or volunteer your time at a local charity or shelter or whatever. So that is the first of the kind of awareness days for this week.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is something called International Mother Language Day. I'd never actually heard of this until I found it today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a United Nations Day, and it's the case that languages are essential to education and sustainable development. And there are approximately it says approximately 8,324 languages. Doesn't seem very approximate, but there we are.
No.
In the world today, many are at risk of disappearing due to globalization and societal changes. And ensuring that education systems support the right to learn in one's mother tongue is crucial for improving learning outcomes, as students who are taught in a language they fully understand show better comprehension, engagement, and critical thinking skills. This is the 25th anniversary of International Mother Language Day, so uh, it's a quarter century of efforts to preserve linguistic diversity and to promote mother tongues. So
Mm.
that's our dates of note for this week.
I like that one. Coming from a country where Irish is one of the official languages, but not spoken by everybody for
Yeah.
historical reasons that we won't go into today. But yeah, I mean, I feel strongly about languages. I think they're vital to a country's identity, really, and yeah, it's something I care about deeply. Swain, I never asked if you had any Scots Gaelic
No,
proficiency.
no, we're in the wrong part of Scotland for that.
Ah,
The Scots Gaelic is kind of the west, uh, and in the very far north of the Scottish mainland in Caithness and in the Northern Isles, the historical language is something called Old Norn
Okay.
mm,
from the Vikings.
wow.
There's all sorts of crossover between one and the other. It's not as simple as to say there is no Gaelic in the far north. There's no, everything's a bit of a mixture when it comes to languages. But in short terms, that's the situation. So yeah.
Yeah. Benjamin, what about you? Have you got other languages besides English?
Don't know if it's well, I'm of Jamaican background, but I don't know if Jamaican Pat was classed as a different language.
Absolutely.
It's just a twist on a multiple a mixing pot of languages with its own
Mm,
twist. I kind of look at it as, but yeah,
yeah.
I'm not bilingual or anything like that. I don't know any specific other. I'd like to learn. I'd like to learn Chinese or something like that, Mandarin at
Mm,
some point.
mm-hmm.
Spanish. I would like to learn Spanish as well.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
something interesting.
Yeah. Well, loads of potential these days to do that.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
good to know about. Okay, let's just mention a few events that are coming up as well. I couldn't find anything specifically linked to our program for this week, although there are a lot of on Eventbrite. There are a lot of libraries as usual offering digital skill sessions up and down the country. So it's great to see that there's more now than there used to be when we first started presenting this show. So that's good to see that happening. But I did find a couple of events on the 28th of February. One is in Cornwall, just called Over 65, Staying Connected in Our Digital World. And I don't think we've had many Cornish events before, so it's good to see this happening. And just describe it as a couple of hours in this laid back but informative event designed specifically for those a little older, looking to navigate the digital landscape to stay connected with local events and activities. Using Facebook and Instagram in an easy way, they say we've got you covered. We also look at how AI, ChatGPT, Wizard Elite, like we were talking about before the show came on, me and Benjamin, can help you write and formulate ideas when you can't find the words or inspiration or just want it written for you. It finishes by saying there's a world of information to keep you connected, and this overview will give you the confidence to give it a go. And what and brackets, what to tell your kids to set you up on. Well, plenty of over 65-year-olds I know who can tell their kids how to set stuff up. So maybe a bit of
Yeah.
ageism there, but yeah, I mean,
that's a
yeah,
good project. Yeah,
yeah, it sounds very good. Do you find in your work, Benjamin, that older people need a bit more help, or
yeah, 100%,
yeah,
100%. I've supported a few community groups with over 50s,
yeah,
and you got to have a lot more patience. You got to see things from their point of view.
yeah,
You got to
definitely,
see. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear
yeah,
and confusion around the information that's
yeah,
out there because it's a lot of information, isn't it?
yeah,
If it's something
absolutely,
that you obviously for people like us, we might be looking at this stuff every day, so
mm,
we're always absorbing little bits of information, and so
mm-hmm,
we're kind of going along with it. But
mm,
if you've not seen any of it, and all of a sudden somebody's coming and putting all of this in front of your face,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
you can scare them off
yeah,
quick as you
absolutely.
get their interest.
Yeah, and that's the last thing we want. And we have we've got an article hopefully we can get to later on from Jangala, one of the organizations that we've kind of mentioned in the past, and who I'm doing some work with now in Birmingham, um, about kind of how to overcome that digital lack of digital confidence. Anyway, this next event that's also on the 28th of February is I picked it up because I attended a session recently with the BCS, Birmingham British Computer Society, about WikiConnect and using Wikipedia, and we talked then about how the majority of articles and no, the majority of editors on Wikipedia are men, and so a lot of the articles, a lot of things about women don't get included. Um, for various reasons. So this is an event called "Imagine a Gender Equal World: Help Write Women onto Wikipedia." It's not the first time this has happened, but it's good to see it happening again. And this is an Wikipedia editathon. They call it celebrating the lives and contributions of all the inspiring women of Scotland and around the world missing from the world's go-to site for information. The blurb goes on to say Wikipedia is the eighth most visited website in the world, but it lacks diversity in its editors and its articles. Only 20.02% of biographies on English Wikipedia, the world's go-to source of information, are about women. Women are not a minority, and we can choose to challenge hashtag the paucity of stories currently shared on the open web. The event will focus on improving the representation of inspiring women online. Participants will learn how to edit Wikipedia pages during a hybrid event, online webinar, and in person meetup in the University of Edinburgh main library, and will be supported over the afternoon to create new pages for notable individuals who are not currently on Wikipedia and/or help improve already existing Wikipedia pages. And again, I think Wikipedia is a great way to encourage people to get online and kind of put their mark on the world. I don't I have edited Wikipedia pages in the past, but it's not something I spend a lot of time on. Again, either of you dabbled in Wikipedia in the past?
No, not for editing. I haven't really
Mm,
messed with
mm.
anyone's information on there.
Yeah.
No, no, I haven't. No.
Yeah. Swain?
Light edits,
Mm,
very occasionally.
yeah.
Um, yeah, nothing. It's not something I focus on. I'd quite like to, because this notion of, building up the number of entries for underrepresented groups, I quite like that
Mm,
as a an idea.
mm-hmm.
But maybe someday I'll spend a year doing that or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's the kind of thing you could get sucked into and just spend a lot of time doing. One of our people we both know, Swain, Andy Mabbitt, is a
Yeah,
great in Birmingham. He's a great he's a Wikipedia editor, and he's done Wikipedia in residence and all that kind of stuff. And he's great for encouraging people to get
yeah,
involved and be hands on about it. But of course, other editors are exist, and some of them aren't always as encouraging, I suppose, or they just I suppose they have their own little area
yeah,
of expertise, and they want to keep it to themselves. But on the whole, actually, it's a very egalitarian, open source site, and I think it's we'd like to encourage more people to feel they can get involved in it, because it's really nice to see your influence on an article. I've encouraged people in the past to write, you kind of edit articles about their own area, because they know their own area better,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it gives them a tool that they can
yeah.
yeah.
use for themselves to build up their skills.
Yeah, I think that might be an area that I need to pay a bit more attention to. Yeah, definitely
Mm,
now. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it'd be good to see what make a list of what articles there are about the West Midlands, and then see what how people might like to add to them or change things that are said. Anyway, let's get on with introducing our special guest today, Benjamin Blake, a digital connector. Benjamin is a digital enthusiast. He drives himself with a passion for creativity, tech, and online innovation. And for the past 6 years, he's worked within the digital skills third sector across the West Midlands, successfully supporting charities, businesses, and communities upskill and improve their digital confidence and performance. Benjamin comes from a background of brand marketing, developing online businesses, and youth service support. Benjamin, you're very welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much, Pauline and Swain. Much
Yeah,
appreciated for having me.
nice to see you. Um, Benjamin, you have a history in kind of digital. What kind of sparked your interest from when you were younger and to now?
Ooh, I've always been a creative person, um, and I've always been how would you say, a supportive kind of person. I've always been a person that people would come to for help,
Mm,
even if I didn't have much
mm-hmm,
knowledge of that specific area. People would always seem to come to me for some reason. People would call me for advice and information. So as things went on, I just became involved in different, arts projects, music projects. I learned how to use music software.
mm,
I come from a family of musicians. My dad's a drummer. My uncle played. They all play in reggae bands. They travel all around the country. So from an early age, I was exposed to music, and then when they started to use the technology side of it, the audio software,
mm-hmm,
they would just leave computers open, and me and my brother would just mess around with it, not knowing what we're doing. So we'd start learning the softwares, and things kind of just progressed. And then over
mm-hmm,
time, started to use things like Photoshop. I started to learn online marketing,
mm-hmm,
started to learn just a whole range. I just took an interest in everything to do with digital, really. And then, put myself through training, put myself through courses, started to do bits of work around the community, started to land jobs within that sector also, and then also do my own passion projects outside as well. So
mm-hmm,
it's just been a lifelong thing that I've always been into. It's not something that I switch on or switch off from.
mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
just who I am basically. So it's
Yeah.
working in that area as well. It pretty much just fits hand in hand. Everything that
Yeah.
I'm learning when I'm supporting projects is some stuff that I want to know anyway. So it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when everything just comes together and you just find your lane and you're like, yeah, this is I'm able to support people. I'm able to give information. I'm able to sit down with groups and share information and see where everybody is, see what everybody wants to do, and to see the rewards and how things look after you've had your input and how people react to
Mm,
the first time they go online or the first time they create something online.
mm, mm,
The first time I supported a group of over 50s, and one of the guys wanted to learn how to mix his music online. He wanted to be an online DJ. He had he had old CDs that he wanted to bring in and convert them into MP3s. And,
Mhm.
he's gone off and doing what he's doing now. I heard the last I heard that he played at a family party with the DJ software and whatnot. So it's just seeing how people can change their lives using digital
Mm.
software. It's just amazing to see for me.
Absolutely. And I mean, did you study it at school and college, or was it more self-taught?
It was more self-taught. It was more
Mm.
self-taught. But then once I realized that, there's actually an area for this, that's what I was like, okay, let me start putting myself through courses and start
Mhm.
getting bits of paperwork to my name. So,
Mhm.
I don't just seem like I'm winging it, that I actually know what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more self-taught,
Yeah.
self-taught,
And
and then obviously,
a lot of the social media platforms, etc., like LinkedIn, for example, are offering more courses now, more kind of short courses that people can do. I think they really picked up on the fact that people want to have
yeah,
a bit of paper or some kind of credit for what they can do, not
that's
just
it.
to say, I picked it up along the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what have been some of the favorite things that you've done, Benjamin, that you've really enjoyed learning?
Oh, some of the favorites. Oh, I would definitely say digital marketing
Mm,
is a really good one.
mm,
That's definitely took a big interest in digital marketing. I would say audio creation also. That's a good one. Audio, because off the back of that, I've been able to do audio sessions with groups so they can record their thoughts and feelings, put them
mm,
together, upload them if they wanted to do online podcasts.
yeah.
It all stemmed from me learning those audio pieces of software. So yeah, digital marketing, audio. Yeah, I'd say those two so far have been like a key areas. Also
Mm,
your general IT,
mm-hmm,
computer setups, Windows setups and whatnot. But I
mm-hmm.
would say, digital marketing has probably been the number one thing that I've learned so far, which has sparked my interest.
And what kind of tools like would you have used in the past, and what are you using today?
For digital marketing,
Mm,
it's generally you're going to use your Meta ad suite, your Facebook ads manager. You're
mm,
going to use if you're collating data, it's going to be your MailChimp,
mm-hmm,
email marketing lists. And I think it's more about the way that you can create to capture people's imaginations. It's like it's all psychology, isn't it? So you
mm,
got to find a way for people to become interested in what you've got somehow, some way, just by using your own mind and your own thoughts. Like, how can I get people interested in something just by using my creativity? And I think that's what's the interesting part for me is how can you just capture people's minds and imaginations, and
mm.
because people don't have to be interested in what you're doing. They don't have
Yeah,
to be interested.
yeah.
In reality, nobody has to be interested in anything. It's just about how do you capture people's minds, isn't it? So for digital marketing, that's what caught my attention mostly. And
Mm,
when you find out that you can capture people's minds and imagination, then it's rewarding.
yeah,
Even when
yeah.
I've brought it into working with groups and projects, how did I advertise those groups and projects? What
Mm,
was it about those posters that made people want to come down and take part in those sessions? It's all
mm-hmm.
digital marketing.
Yeah. And what images or what things do you find work well with people these days? Because people's attention span does seem to have shrunk,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you have to really capture them early on, don't you?
yeah, yeah. I think it's being relatable.
Mm,
People want to feel comfortable, something that they feel like that they can relate to. If it's too if it's too over the top, they might feel like, okay, that's not for me. That's for people with more expertise. But how can you make it relatable to the target audience that you're trying to attract? What do they currently do? What's their current skill level? And how can you find images, audio, or content to match where they are and bring them in?
mm,
It's just all about bringing them in, isn't it? So making them feel comfortable, really, and
yeah,
relatable.
yeah. And how do you convey to people about things about like copyright and cybersecurity and stuff like that? What do you find people think about it, and what do you teach them?
When it comes to copyright, I mean, you have to let them know which sites they can use
Mm,
images from. If they're not creating their own audio, if they're not creating their own video and they want to use images, you have to find copyright free sites, stock images that they can use publicly. But for the main part, when I've run workshops, it's all about creating original video.
Right.
It's all about creating, taking your own pictures and editing those pictures and making your own posters. But yeah, if you are using stock images, there are, specific sites that you can use. And then when in regards to cybersecurity, that's an area that we try and keep people safe. But what we are doing is now we're bringing in a facilitator to run specific organizational cybersecurity training,
Mm-hmm.
so they can target those specific areas that those organizations need.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of the month that we're doing that, actually. So
Okay.
yeah, that's at the end of the month. So that is one way that we're trying to keep organizations safe also, because I think that's a big area where people can, they can lose data,
Yeah.
they can have breaches of data, they can lose information, and that's for an organization that can make or break
Mm-hmm.
an organization, so
Mm.
it's an
Absolutely.
important area for them to have an overview of.
Yeah. And so how do you find the balance between encouraging people to be online, but kind of keeping them safe as well? How do
Yeah,
you manage that yourself?
it's a tough one. it's
Mm.
it's it's a tough one. I think you have to drip feed the people. If it's
Mm-hmm.
people that have no knowledge of the online world so far as it is, you've got to drip feed the information slowly, slowly and consistently. You can't bombard them with too much information from the outset, otherwise, they're gonna lose interest. So once they once they've got an overview of how the online world works, now we can talk about how we can keep everything safe. Now,
Mm-hmm.
to keep everything safe, right, we need to do this. Do you have, this software on your computer? Do you have, antivirus on your computer? Do you have anti-malware? Okay, let's run a session where we can all install some free antivirus or anti-malware if you don't currently have it already.
Mm.
And let's
Mm.
explain what the anti-malware software does. Let's explain what the antivirus software does. Let's explain how we can turn on the auto updates, and
Mm-hmm.
this will keep this safe, it will keep that
Yeah.
safe, but you've got to
Yeah.
stay on top of the updates. And so it's just about bringing things in slowly but surely. That's
Yeah.
for community groups, but when you're dealing with, larger organizations, then that's when we have to, potentially bring those facilitators in to specifically pinpoint their areas where their data might be specifically breached and whatnot.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a constantly evolving scenario, isn't it? And kind of people, you kind of want to keep building people's confidence,
Yeah,
but not get them so complacent that they miss, kind of red flags. Because we all do it, we all um there we know there are people out there whose business it is to take advantage of our
but yeah,
slip ups or
yeah,
lack of uh monitoring or whatever. And they are, they're looking out for gaps, they're looking out for places where they can kind of break in and make
that's
things
it.
bad for us. And
That's
I think some people think that, it doesn't happen so much in the charity sector, but I think it's happening in any sector where there are
it.
weaknesses.
Yeah,
And I do have concerns about that with our sector. um and I've seen people, I've heard stories of people being taken advantage of. I think we did in digital NNS where we've done paid work. We have some stories of um situations that happened where, for example, a charity website had a donate button link, and
okay.
it was hacked, and it turned out that the donate button had been replaced with a donate
Wow.
to somebody's
Okay.
holiday fund,
Yeah,
for example. And so that went on for a while, I think, and some money was steered in the wrong direction, but they found it in the end. But it just goes to show that there are some vulnerabilities in our
Mm.
sector that, we're not always on top of. Have you found anything like that in your experience, Benjamin?
not to the point of where people have. I've heard stories about breaches, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to support anyone who's had a specific breach at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. So
Yeah.
we're trying to play on the front foot
Yeah.
just to make sure, we're trying to play on, trying to play on the front foot to make sure everyone gets the information beforehand, just in case, because people are collecting knowledge, people are collecting information and data from members of the community. So
Mm.
let's keep that safe, let's
Yeah.
keep that secure.
Yeah. So what kind of, I mean, do you think people's skills are increasing exponentially, or are they kind of, are people moving in and out of what they know about digital and building their skills levels?
I think what I'm finding so far is there's a number of people who want to learn it, and if you want to learn it, then you will take the
Mm,
time to acquire the knowledge and build your skill set. And if you are slightly hesitant about it, then it's going to take you a little bit longer, to develop that skill set. But the idea is that we get as much people who want to learn it together in the same place, so we can all share that information, we can all hype each other up, kind of
yeah.
thing, to support each other, build that peer networking
Mm,
support, so we
mm,
can all work together.
yeah.
And if one person can show two more people in their
Yeah.
own organization, can't they? And, hopefully we can build the big, just make the community even bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had any surprises in the learning in your learning with people? Have people surprised you what they've learned or not? Kind of
Yeah, definitely,
stories they've
definitely.
told you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I've worked with people who said they didn't have any knowledge of the
Mm,
online world or the internet world, but then, after a few sessions or, giving them some information, they've gone away and researched it and they've come back and, had a lady who was part of the over 50s group who she had old photographs of old family pets, very old photographs, but she just cherished these pictures and she didn't know what to do with them. And now, after those sessions, I showed her how to do editing, how to upload the photographs. Downloaded some free editing software on a laptop.
mm,
Gave her a few sessions on how to use the basics of it, and then she's edited her own little collage. She's doing collages and everything now, and she's uploading those pictures to some community groups that she's found online where they all get together and share photographs and whatnot. But for
mm,
her to come back and show me pictures that she's edited and she's put collages together, based off the back of her not knowing anything
mm,
at all.
mm.
It's amazing to see her now.
Yeah,
She's part of this online group where they share photographs. So I don't know where she is now, what she's doing now, but she could have gone on to a completely different level now with everything. But
yeah,
yeah, definitely there's a lot of surprises in it.
yeah. That's what a joy. I remember when I used to help Nick Booth in Birmingham. I was one of the many people who took part in social media surgeries. When social media was a new thing,
Yeah,
and you would just get together and help community groups to build a Facebook page or something with their website or whatever, and the joy of seeing somebody go, the light bulb moment, and they
yeah,
suddenly
yeah,
realize they can do something, they can share something, they can make a difference by the work that they're doing online. There's nothing like that really. It's a special kind of pleasure to be
yeah.
able
That's it.
to kind of give that joy to people.
And that's it, isn't it? Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just about that confidence. That's where that confidence comes in.
Mm,
She might have heard things about the internet, thought, oh no, that's not
mm,
for me, that's not for
yeah.
me. But
Yeah.
when she sat down and actually had a look at it and thought, oh, okay, it's not as scary as I thought. It's not as
Mm,
bad as I thought. I can actually do this. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Absolutely. We don't do the social media surgeries anymore because like more people have more skills now than they used to have. But there's still plenty of digital drop-ins in libraries and community
Yeah,
venues. You go where the people are, don't you? You don't try and make
that's it.
them come to somewhere strange
Yeah,
and new. That you kind of build the confidence in the confidence of the comfort of where they are.
Well,
One of the things.
there's always new things. There's always new things coming along that people need, that no one has any experience of, and that are the new thing.
Mm,
So it's always a moving target, isn't it?
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Digital
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
yeah. Never ending, never stopping.
Mm. So you have other projects that you work on as well, Benjamin.
Yeah,
How
I
do
do.
you kind of balance your time in the digital world and are kind of is all digital? It all comes back to digital in the end.
Yeah, yeah. People do ask me that, like, how do you do this and do that at the same time? But it's not really. It's like I mentioned before. It's not really separate.
Mm,
So if I'm on a job and I've got to go and do a course on AI, or I've got to go and do a course on how to market projects within an organization, it's not separate to what I do in my spare time. It's pretty
mm-hmm,
much all
mm-hmm,
intertwined. So once I've finished the stuff during the day, it's not much different. It pretty much continues on into the
Mm,
evening
mm,
and over the weekend. So
yeah,
on the
yeah,
only thing is on the weekend I might go and pick up a camera and go somewhere, go to a local gym and film some content or something like that, and then do some editing. If I'm working with an athlete at a local gym and they want some content done, I might just pick up a camera, do some videography with them and then just do some editing after, and then yeah, it's pretty much all the same. It's all the same skills.
yeah.
And then in a day job you might then run an editing class. Like I said with the
Mm,
lady, I might do an editing session where
yeah.
I'm using the same software that I just use on Sunday night. Now I'm just doing it with this group over here instead. So it's
Mm,
all intertwines at the end of the day. All
mm,
intertwines.
mm. Do you ever get encouraged or feel the need yourself to do any kind of digital detox where you don't connect with digital for a while and just
Yeah,
give
yeah.
yourself a break? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I do. I think that's important as well. I do
mm,
like to go for walks or to just work out, just clear the mind.
mm-hmm.
Um, I like to just go and look at cars. I like to go to car showrooms and just walk around and wander and just. I do like to switch off. It's
Yeah,
important to switch off because
yeah.
you can have information overload because we're
Mm,
constantly receiving new information, aren't we? So it's good to just switch off sometimes and just process the information that we've got and look at it again tomorrow,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. I always find a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
'Cause I start worrying about something and then I just think, no, this is not going to be tomorrow, over tomorrow, this is not going to look the same. So I rely on sleep to kind of, as Shakespeare wrote, knit up the ravel sleep of care and
yeah,
just, get me not so worried about things the next day. Yeah, it's because I think you can get very anxious about the digital world and sort of all, because it's so big, it's so much bigger than your day to day, and you kind of, well, this is just for me. I just sometimes worry about things happening or not happening, and then yeah, so sleep is my answer to resolving these sort of issues.
yeah.
So have you what are your kind of thoughts about the coming year, Benjamin, and the kind of things that are needed, that people in our community might need to kind of give them a better quality of life, for example?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just boils down to information, the
Mm,
information that's being shared, and understanding. This is my own experiences, just understanding people's aspirations and where they're currently struggling, and what they're trying to do in life, where they're trying to go, and
mm,
how can we find those digital tools to help to support these, communities that are maybe in need, maybe are struggling to get over a certain barrier, struggling to get over a certain level where they might need that extra support on their
mm,
side. So,
mm,
I mean, that could be anything from job applications to learning new skills to communication to, networking, online networking. There's so many different areas that people need nowadays to make their lives easier and improve their prospects.
mm,
And one thing that I've seen, which was really good, was an online volunteering
mm.
platform. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you're aware of, but there's an online volunteering platform that I've been made aware of, where you can carry out online jobs for companies, and they will, have you down as a volunteer for their company, so you can then put that on your CV afterwards to say that I volunteered for this company
Mm.
doing their admin work. And I thought that was really good for
Yeah,
some
that
people who
sounds
might be,
great.
yeah, yeah, for some people who might be struggling with, getting their foot through certain doors and whatnot, to
Mm,
just have
mm.
something like that that they can do at home and still have access to the companies. I thought that was brilliant innovation. So it's just
Yeah,
things like that when I see, I'm like, that's fantastic.
that sounds great. We'd love to have details of that and maybe get
Yeah,
the person, people, or and someone involved with that platform on the show, because we're always trying to tell people about what's out there and what might help them. Yeah, and like, is it like micro volunteering where you do like a short amount of work, a small amount of
yeah,
work, or
yeah.
is it
That's it. Yeah,
longer? Yeah,
yeah.
small.
It's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like micro projects, and I think they'll set the projects for you, whether it's
Mm,
admin work or it ranges from basic level admin work up to large scale. I think it just
mm,
depends on the individual
yeah,
person's skill set.
yeah.
So I thought that was really good. That was
That
really
sounds
good.
great. I mean, I'm really intrigued because I, when in my background, my kind of history, um, when I was younger, I remember completing my brother's maths workbooks over the summer holidays because just for interest, because I mean, I was, I was very close to my brother, and I kind of saw this as a way of kind of being like him, and learning more about maths. And I'm sorry to say, it's not my forte anymore, but just I know, there are other people out there who might want to do something online now, for example, just to kind of for fun, for an interest.
Mhm.
And if
Oops.
Is that my oh,
Sorry, no, it was me. I pressed the wrong button, I think. If they can add that learning then to their CV, for example, that might, give them
yeah,
an advantage in,
yeah,
in work or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So is that a UK platform, Benjamin, that you mentioned, or
It
do you
was
know?
a .com platform. I'll have to find the information. So I know it
Yeah,
was a .com. So I think it was somebody's created the platform, and companies can list their volunteer opportunities. Some
yeah,
creative genius has created this platform, this whole platform.
yeah.
And
So these are they like private sector companies? Business, they're not voluntary organizations
no, it's
or
pretty
getting the work
much
done. Yeah.
anyone that's got an opportunity, basically.
Okay.
From what I've
Okay.
seen so far, it's pretty
Yeah.
much from larger companies down to small organizations. Do we've got any
Yeah.
online volunteering opportunities?
Because
I'm not
there's
sure if there's a membership that they have to sign up to
oh,
list.
okay. Yeah.
That's what I've seen so far.
Because there's a website called Match My Project in that operates in Birmingham and other places in the country, where companies can be matched with organizations who need some work doing for them or
Okay,
whatever. A bit like business in the community, but more actual physical projects. And I saw one recently, an AI company offering to do some kind of AI audit for a charity or community organization that I think a charity. I don't know many charities in the West Midlands anyway yet that know enough about AI to be able to take advantage of something like that. But like I was thinking I could talk to them about what they're offering and maybe break it down and make it more explainable to people so
yeah,
that they can take advantage of an opportunity like that. Um, but yeah, I like the idea of doing something just for the fun of it, or just
yeah.
because you know that by doing that you'll increase your own skills and you'll
That's it.
you'll help somebody else as
Yeah,
well. So yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
no, I
That's
really
it.
like that.
That's it. It's all about utilizing, and that's the thing about the digital world, isn't it? It's just about utilizing what's there.
Mm,
And there's always going to be opportunities. People are still going to be seeking for people's input and help and support. So
mm,
it's just about how do we connect people to those digital opportunities.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in terms of digital inclusion and the work that you're doing, Benjamin, the kind of the different aspects of digital inclusion are devices and data and connectivity and tech support and building motivation and confidence, jobs, etc. What are the main gaps that you're seeing in the work that you're doing at the moment? What do people need?
The main gaps I would say is organizational organization wise, I would say it would be their marketing. That's one thing that a lot of organization leads come back to me and say they want more eyeballs on their organization,
Mm-hmm.
or they want to position themselves as an industry leader. They want to
Mm.
have a bit more of a voice within the
Yeah.
sector. How do they promote themselves? How
Mm.
do they create content within themselves to obviously boost up themselves and boost the organization as well? So definitely the marketing. Are they utilizing social media enough? How are they utilizing social media? How are they getting their messages out there? What kind of content are they using? How are they collecting data and sharing? How are
Mm.
they collecting that data and share and communicating with the email list? Basically, what
Yeah.
information are they sending out? How are they sending? What platforms are they using? It's so from one query of, oh, how do I get my project out to more eyeballs? How do I stay? It can bring up a whole variety of subjects that can be looked at.
Mm.
So for organizational based, I'd say those are the key areas. Well, that's the main area that they will come to me
Mm-hmm.
for.
Yeah.
But then there's a want, and then I try and break it up into want and need. So that's what they want. But then at the same time, there'll be the areas that they need, and that might be their cybersecurity. So it's like, okay,
Mm.
you've not asked about cybersecurity, but we're gonna put this project on anyway
Yeah.
for you to
Yeah.
attend. That
Yeah.
you gotta come to that anyway.
Mm.
So the But then I'd say for community groups or individual members of the public, it would be those everyday skills,
Mm.
whether it's job seeking, whether it's just online banking.
Mm.
If you're working with over 50s and the weather's bad, they don't want to go outside. So how
Yeah.
can they, online shopping? And obviously off the back of online shopping, they need to know how to set an email address up. They
Mm.
need to know how to open a computer and boot a computer up. They need to know how to set an account up.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many little things that can happen just off the back of a simple, okay, the weather's bad, it's slippy outside, it's dangerous. Okay, this is an elderly person, we can't have them outside, walking around doing what they. Let's set up online shopping for them. Okay, first, do
Mm.
you have an email address? No, I don't. All right, okay. So now we need some sessions around setting an
Yeah.
email address up.
Yeah.
And before that, you need a computer. Do you
Mm.
have access to a computer? No. Okay. So who can we tap into for some computers? Who's
Mm-hmm.
out there that can, help to support us, whether it's a lending library or whatnot? Okay. Do you have internet access? No. Okay, then who can we tap into for some data? Who's the Good Things Foundation? Whoever's out there that we can,
Mm.
and it's just those questions, isn't it? Those questions kind of create the support that you build.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and and there are good schemes out there, and libraries as well pay a part in kind of encouraging and providing services and materials and
Yeah,
equipment that people can use. Are you much of a user of libraries yourself, Benjamin? Do you encourage other people to use libraries?
I do try and visit. I do visit the Birmingham Library quite often.
Mm.
Obviously, I do like to work from there, to be honest, and I like the
Yeah.
aesthetic, so I do try and visit there quite often. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I will say to people, if you want, obviously the best information is always going to be in the library, isn't it? If you're not used to searching for information on Google, or you prefer to actually go out and physically pick a book up, then go to the library by all means. Go and sit in that environment. There's other Go and speak to the librarians. Go and have a browse, and just the library can be a really good place to learn. It's
Mm.
a fantastic place to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. We find that, and yeah, we're always a bit sad when people don't really understand how amazing libraries are and library staff and how much they can help people get
Yeah,
online. We saw during lockdown, especially as well, that although lots of libraries were closed, they did still trying to provide services online to people,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they did curbside deliveries and drop-offs and stuff like that. So they really did work hard
Very
to
important.
try and
They're
keep
very
those
important.
resources available to people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Benjamin, we have a few stories that we picked up that we just want to refer to, and please feel free to comment on them yourselves. But we'll
yeah,
just go through, and one of them includes a short video um, from Jagala that I mentioned earlier. So, Sweyn, shall we go to the first story, which is the A to Z of digital inclusion, which I was really pleased to see because I was at an event recently where people were using various bits of terminology, and I just said, look, we need a glossary here because there's new terms all the time, and we just need to keep up to date with what's happening. So this is from Charity Digital, which is a publication that I'm sure we're all familiar with, and they published this A to Z, and the blurb just says there are many factors involved in digital inclusion, from improving digital skills to making internet access affordable and reliable, and understanding digital terms, becoming familiar with different technologies, and learning how they work are all part of becoming more confident with digital and improving digital literacy. Indeed, training was identified as one of the three core ways charities can address digital exclusion in Charity Digital's report, educating and empowering people to use digital technology more effectively. So I don't know if there's any terms there that you're not familiar with. I don't think you can go through them all, but if you scroll down through them as Sweyn is doing now, um, assistive technology. Yeah, we've talked about that before. Helping disabled people to use tech. Um, Scroll on there, Sweyn, and see if there's anything else that we can bring your own device. Yeah, that's always a, a challenge, I think, in a lot of cases where people worry about compromising security if they bring their own device or
yeah.
memory sticks or whatever. Yeah, I think it's good to have all this in one place.
Yeah, definitely. That's a
It's
really
great.
good
It's
page.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
brilliant.
it's a great page.
Mm.
It's brilliant. Yeah,
I bookmarked that one.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I think we can probably add to that one ourselves over time as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next story is we've got a short video to show on this one. This is from Jangala, who are a company who started life in the refugee camps in Calais,
Okay.
bringing the internet to people who needed it to contact their friends and family to let them know they were safe. And they now provide these what they call get boxes or big boxes, depending on which of the projects we're working with, to community organizations, community centers, etc., around the country for free because they're being sponsored by Virgin Media. So they supply these boxes, and in Birmingham, I've been part of um, a scheme to kind of bring them to community organizations in Birmingham, and I've had the joy of bringing a couple of the boxes to a community venue near where my charity is based, and seeing the joy in people when they eventually get online. Having really known that it was important for the community to make it available to them. They now have Jangala Getbox that brings, offers an internet to the community that didn't have it before. So they've now produced these digital inclusion cards, a tool designed to help people feel comfortable sharing their online experiences and priorities, designed at Jangala as part of their research and how the internet impacts lives in temporary accommodation. It's an open source asset, and so anyone can use the cards to help people facilitate community workshops, conducting research, or just exploring digital habits. And the question they say is, why do we create them? So it was to support research, interviews with people using Jangala technology, to empower participants to lead discussions on what matters to them, and to make digital inclusion research more engaging and accessible. So can you play the video, Sweyn?
Yes, it's
Great,
just over 3 minutes long.
great.
I'm Kat, I'm the Impact and Advocacy Lead at Jangala. We made the research cards because we wanted to work with people who were using the Getbox. So we wanted to understand what it meant to them, what having that internet access via the Getbox meant in their lives. I knew from previous research that if you ask most people what they do online, they will say everything. And that's because we have such a vast amount of uses for the internet. So what the cards do is they break down the different activities that we do online, and they create an opportunity for our research participants to take charge of that conversation. And I think that's super important because it shifts the power back to the research participant, to the person using the Getbox, and says, well, tell us about your life and what's important to you, and we want to learn. So each of the cards is an online activity. So we have things like shopping, music, watching video, banking, universal credit, work, health. We have all these different activities. And what this allows us to do in a kind of engagement or research situation is help people choose what they want to talk about. So sometimes we laid out the cards on a table or a floor and people would put them in order of importance, or sometimes we would give people the deck of cards and they would sort through them and they would pull out the ones that they liked doing or throw away the ones they can't do or don't want to do. Participants we worked with were quite familiar with the idea of a pack of cards, so they were quite happy kind of sorting them out or picking them up or throwing them away. And it meant that I think people relaxed and opened up to us a lot more, and we had much deeper and more meaningful conversations about internet use and about what people do online. I think I want to put them online as an open source resource because they were so helpful for the research. They changed the quality of conversation. As soon as we got them out, people responded to us differently. And there's no way we would have got such rich data if we hadn't had this tool and this technique. And I really want other people to be able to connect and understand each other's online activities. I really want people who are digitally excluded to be able to express what is important to them, and for interventions like what Jangala does with Getbox, like what other brilliant organisations do, to be built around what that user wants and needs. And I think this can be a tool for them expressing that. I think this is the kind of tool that can be adopted in lots of research areas. And I think my top tip would be just do it. We were lucky that we have talented people at Jangala who were keen to get stuck in and help us design them. But really what we did was fairly basic. We made it quickly, we printed it quickly, we didn't use expensive methods or fancy tools, we just got them out and used them. It can be a very simple community tool, and I think it's amazing what you get back from something so simple.
Great. I really like Kat. She did some great research as a research fellow in the Data Poverty Lab with the Good Things Foundation, and she produced a periodic table of internet elements. And I think she probably used some of that information to produce these Jangala cards. But I see great potential for them. What do you think, Benjamin? Do you think you could use them in your work?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a fantastic project that she's got there.
Mm,
Um, could build some amazing case studies off the back of that as well,
mm,
based on the impact of it's called the Jangala cards.
yeah, yeah.
I think yeah, it's fantastic. I'm gonna have to have a further look into
Yeah.
that as
I think it's well worth it, especially because I'm sure
yeah,
there
yeah,
are community venues in
yeah,
where you're working that probably don't have Wi-Fi and might benefit from the actual get boxes as well as starting
yeah,
the conversations. But I have found in community settings that sometimes people get a bit overwhelmed about what the internet what you can do on the internet, and
yeah.
having some cards where they can lay them out in front of them and say, "Oh yes, I can. Oh yes. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Oh yes,
So,
no, I've done that, but I didn't like it." It's good to have those conversations.
and that's it, isn't it? It's just building that. It's simplifying the process.
Yeah,
Simplifying the
yeah,
process is what builds people's confidence, isn't it? If you
definitely.
and it's like I spoke about it earlier when I says just making things relatable. That's exactly what she's done there, isn't it?
Yeah,
She's made the whole process relatable,
yeah,
so people can see everything specifically of what they can do, and they know they can do it now because it's been simplified so much.
yeah,
That's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, it's not that scary. Okay, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's I
yeah,
can do that. I can do that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is like a whole kind of planet, isn't it, that they can explore. And like I think sometimes people feel, oh, I have to do everything, I have to
Yeah,
go everywhere. And in fact you don't. You can just choose to do this little bit of thing that's on the internet, play cards or do word games or whatever floats your boat. You can do
yeah,
it online if you want to. And it's
yeah,
always if you want to, and you can choose to do it online today and you can do it face to face with somebody tomorrow.
yeah.
Just because you're online doesn't mean can't be offline, and vice versa. And I
That's it.
think
That's
offering people that freedom, that support to do whatever they want to do safely is key to what we
and that's it.
want to offer them.
And what I've noticed as well is once somebody takes one action online, it's always going to lead to another one, isn't it?
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
always going to lead to something else because now you need to know something else.
Yeah,
Do I need? You might need an email address to actually just sign up for an account. Okay, I don't have an email address yet.
yeah,
Okay,
like you
so
said
how do
earlier,
I?
yeah, it's all building blocks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. I wondered, Benjamin, actually, if you had any uh contact with tech companies and what your thoughts are about what they might need to do in this space.
Yeah, well, I was at an event. I think it was late last year, and there was a major tech company there, and their message was that they want to support. They want to support local communities, but they feel that they're disconnected. And this was a large tech company saying they feel
Mm,
disconnected from it, and then they know the local community, feel disconnected from what they're
mm,
doing. So I think tech companies are starting to understand and realize that okay, we're potentially pulling away from our local communities, and how can we engage back in? So that's where people like us can build those bridges, and
mm.
I don't know how we're going to potentially feed people into the tech companies or have the tech companies come and support local organizations. But that's, a piece of work that, does need to be looked at and put together.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going to Birmingham Tech Week in Birmingham for the last however many years it's been running, and trying to kind of get my voice heard. And I'm having more success, I'd say, now than I was, some years ago. It takes time,
Yeah,
because they're, tech like any other sector, people are comfortable with who they know in the sector and who
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
familiar faces and so on. So I've become a familiar face now. But that doesn't stop me kind of challenging them to do better, really.
yeah,
Because I think, I keep saying to people in the community as well, for them to be challenging too, for them to be saying to tech companies, it's all very well producing this piece of kit, but
the-
my granny can't understand it, or my child, hasn't got a device, whatever. So,
yeah,
they need to be more community minded. They some of them have CSR programs or ESG, whatever it's called these days, and some of them don't. But I think they have a responsibility
yeah.
to make things more accessible for people, to
That's
do
it.
better user research, to kind of understand what the needs of the community are. And you and I and Swain are people who can explain that to them and open doors for them that I hope they'll walk through.
Yeah, and that's an important point that you just said, Pauline, about tech companies doing that initial research.
Mm,
Doing that initial user research, because I think at the moment they're targeting those who are already in the know.
yeah.
They just the people that know. Yes,
Mm,
those are our target audience, but
hmm.
it's just creating a divide, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
creating a
it
divide,
is.
and
It is.
if
And
you
it's
want more
it's
people if you want more people integrated into your technology, software, or devices, then it has to be opened up for all members of the community.
mm, absolutely. Okay, we've got one more story, and then we'll be heading towards the end of the show. But this one is about the Sustainable Development Goal 1, which I hadn't seen the link to before. And then the story is titled "Breaking the Cycle of Poverty Through Secure Digital Inclusion: A Deep Dive into SDG 1's, that is Sustainable Development Goal 1, and cybersecurity." And this is by M. Eckhart, the Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, a cybersecurity strategist, cloud security expert, and AI security engineer, and it was published on LinkedIn on the 2nd of February. And the kind of he gives a whole list of things that need to be uh, be kept in mind when thinking about this subject. But the blurb says the rapid digitalization of our global society has opened up countless opportunities from remote education and telehealth to e-commerce. Yet it also brings forth pressing concerns about cybersecurity and equitable access. This intersection is where SDG 1 brackets no poverty converges with digital inequality. Making sure that marginalised communities have both access to and understanding of secure digital platforms is crucial to fostering sustainable socio-economic development and curbing poverty. And then he gives the list of things that kind of are relevant to this topic. And at the end, he says, bridging the digital divide involves more than simply providing devices or installing broadband. It requires placing equal emphasis on cybersecurity and digital literacy, thus preventing cyber threats from exacerbating poverty. When we recognise secure digital access as a springboard for education, healthcare, and employment, we take a vital step towards SDG 1 no poverty. So I really like that. Somebody who, as we've just said, in the tech community is recognizing that they need to do something to
Yeah,
address this divide.
yeah,
It's so good to see that being written about.
yeah, definitely. Because the
Yeah.
divide is it's a massive concern. It's a massive concern. When I've worked with community groups and the fears and the anxieties that they have, they fear for their futures. They fear for the jobs the future of jobs, because they
Mm.
see, obviously, if they're watching the news and they're seeing, okay, they're looking at Tesco no longer have till assistants and everything's
Yeah.
computerized, digital. They're looking at this and thinking, wow, this is, how do I fit in with this going forwards? So it's important that people get the right information and feel comfortable about what's actually taking place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really good. You mentioned Tesco as a one of those big shopping giants. I saw a story recently about M&S have, in fact, taken a step the other way and provided a specific checkout, a till staffed by a member of staff, so that people who don't want to be processing their own shopping, basically doing somebody else's job, but that's another a debate. Can kind of go through a till and talk to somebody. um uh yeah, so I mean, I think it's an attempt to address loneliness as well, because sometimes when you go to the shops, that's the first person you've seen all day.
That's it.
But I think it's good to see them kind of offering another way still, because I think that's vital in this work, that people have alternatives. They can be online, they can be offline, and they can choose and how to navigate the world through either of those opportunities. Okay, we are coming to the very end of the show. Benjamin, thanks so much for joining us today. If people want to contact you after the show, where's the best place to find you online?
Yeah, the best place to find me, LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn,
Okay.
Benjamin. I'm not sure what my actual handle is on LinkedIn. I think it's
I
Benjamin
think
B.
it's Benjamin Blake. Yeah.
Yeah, Benjamin
There's
Blake. Yeah, yeah,
there's a link to that in the description of this YouTube video,
perfect,
along with links to
perfect.
most other things we've mentioned today.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
perfect. Yeah, and
Great.
if anyone's got any questions, any, I mean, I'm eager to connect with people in the digital space anyway. So
Great.
whoever's in the digital space, I do go to a lot of the events and meet up with everyone. So it's a great community. It's a
Yeah.
community of like-minded people, a community of creatives as well. That's what I've
Absolutely.
noticed, that everyone in this space has outside skills that they're bringing into the table, and I think that's fantastic. I think that's
Great.
brilliant.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks very much, Benjamin. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, week, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
That's it.